want that ability, as soon as some code is checked into a branch, automatically the pipeline should execute and the new artifact should get generated, right? If you want to automate this particular process, so what you have to do? So we'll try to continue with the same pipeline so that you can understand. Hello world app, right? This is the project. Under this, we created a pipeline, right? The pipelines. This one. Try to take the same pipeline and go to edit. So we have seen there are tasks, there are variables. Next to that, you can see one more option called triggers. Right now, enable continuous integration is disabled. So now I have enabled it. Now, when should it automatically run? Like these are the options. When there is a change in the master branch, right? So as soon as some change happens in this branch, automatically trigger my pipeline. Likewise, you can add multiple branch, right? Some condition, exclude, right? You can exclude. If assume there is some other branch where it is, you don't want to run the pipeline, then you can exclude also, right? Clear? Likewise, you can also put some other conditions here. Whenever there is a particular file is checked in, let's say, uh, every time I don't want to run my pipeline, every time, let's say 100 developers are there or 50 developers are there. Every time people will check in or they will push the source code into repository. Then if 50 developers are doing it in parallelly, then this will automatically trigger 50 times, which I don't want to do that. So in that case, I can put a criteria saying that, okay, I can create a particular file as part of all the commits, right? As soon as that particular commit happens to that particular file, you can specify this. Then only go and trigger my pipeline. Similar case here, exclude or maybe, right? Something, maybe ready.txt, something, some file I'll create as part of the completion of all commits, right? That way. If you want to exclude similarly, you can put something, whichever you want, right? So we can have an option of include or exclude for branch as well as path, right? There is one more option. I'll delete this for now. Batch changes while a build is in progress. Okay, let me save this first. Now what we'll do for demo purpose, I'll go to repos. I'll come back to that. Right now, how many runs are there for our pipeline? Click on this. We have 3 runs now. Now let me make some change in my repo. Generally, we are not supposed to make changes directly, but for just for demo purpose, or we'll do one thing, just for real-time scenario only we'll take. Go to your command prompt. Okay. And go to decode and CI demo only, right? Here, this is where our status, right? Now let me modify some code here. I'll change views. I'll try to modify same file index, right? Welcome to maybe CI pipeline, right? I'll just save this. Let commit -m. right? Now I'll push this. Git push.
Origin master.
Now if you see, let it happen parallelly. Go to your pipelines. See here, when just now, it's just push completed. Immediately it has started. This is what I just gave commit, right? Title updated. So build is happening now. My pipeline started triggering. Did I do anything here? No. As a developer, some commit happened. Immediately my pipeline started, right? This will take some time. So how this is happening? Because of your triggers, what we have enabled here. Enable continuous integration. This is how actually make changes, push the changes into the master branch or the branch whichever is configured here, then immediately the pipeline will run, right? So we can schedule a pipeline. Let's say here, when do you want to run this? Monday to Friday at so and so time. Maybe every day I want to run it at midnight, 22 hours, right? And you can define time and which time frame, right? So you can add again, maybe early morning you want to run, 3 o'clock, or maybe early morning, 6 o'clock, whichever it is. So 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, right? Automatically it will run. You don't have to do anything. Irrespective of whether commits are there or not, it will run. Again, include the master branch or whichever you want. So why do you want this? This kind of scenario. Again, I was telling the same example, right? Assume you have multiple developers. I don't want to run for every commit. Just now we have pushed one commit, immediately my pipeline triggered, right? But I don't want to do that. Why? Assume this pipeline will run for 5 to 6 hours, or maybe 7 hours, 8 hours, depends, right? Based on your project size. If I start triggering for every commit, assume there are 5 commits or 10 commits happen in a day. Then how many hours I require to complete that pipeline? 10 into 10 or 10 into 8 hours. Assume 8 hours, it will run for 8 hours. 10 into 8, 80 hours. But how many hours I have per day? Only 24 hours. In that case, what I can do, I can define a process saying that for all the developers, first complete it for India. Assume people are working in India. For them, max by 10 o'clock, you should complete your commits, right? Even if you commit after that, that will be taken care, maybe 8 hours, right? 10 to 8 hours. Yeah, 8 hours exactly. Maybe other country, maybe they will be working on their daytime. So which is early morning for us. So in this 8 hours gap, my pipeline would have been completed. Now again, I'll start. If somebody for some reason for check-ins which are happened after 10 o'clock will be taken care in the 6 o'clock trigger, right? So that those kind of scenarios will be there. Or maybe one time, you don't want to do multiple times, even they can do that. Okay. Or maybe you can link also. Maybe one pipeline completes then basically the parent-child relation. Okay. I am going to delete this also trigger. So right now we have continue. Now what is this batch changes while your build is in progress? Take the same example. Suppose your build is running for, your pipeline is running for maybe 51 hour, right? In this 1 hour, assume there are 5 commits, right? So while my pipeline is in progress, while running in that 1 hour time frame, there are multiple developers who have done their commits and pushes. Next time, actually after an hour, there are 3 commits, example, 3 pushes. So what happens if you don't select? 3 pipelines will be in queued up. But is there any use by running 3 times for the same code? No use, right? Assume developer 1. So developer 1, developer 2, developer 3. So this is my repository. Okay. Already one pipeline is in progress because of some commit. right? Commit happened. Now pipeline will run for 1 hour, example. Okay, 1 hour it will run. In that case, while this pipeline is running for 1 hour, developer 2 will also commit some changes, push his changes. He will also push his changes. Maybe another developer will also push his changes. So total, how many pushes are there? There are 3 pushes for me. Next time, if you don't enable that checkbox, so there will be a run 1, right? Run 2, example, I'm just giving. Run 3. Because 1, 2, 3, 3 pushes happen. For every commit, there will be runs which will be in queue. But by that time, if you execute this run 1, all 3 commits are already there. Then what is the use of running this R2 and R3? No use, right? So the combining all these pushes into a single commit, only R, right? To do that, you need to enable this, right? So all those 3 will get merged into single run and it will be executed. The final code which is there in the repository, that will be used by the pipelines. So whenever the pipeline starts, automatically that will take the latest one, right? So right now we have only one agent and one parallel job. But did we save anything? Stay and save. Because we have only one agent. Here, you'll find something queue here. So it will be queued up. Okay. So this is always a recommended practice to enable that, because better to combine if there are multiple commits. In case we have multiple agents and all, then that is a different story. Okay. Clear? This is what as a continuous integration. Enabling continuous integration trigger. Right? Now, if we want to display the status of the pipeline in my dashboard, right? How to do that? Is the dashboard overview here, dashboard. Right now, nothing is there. Whether pipeline is successful or not successful, because assume there are 10 jobs, 10 pipelines. Tomorrow morning, if you come back, I don't want to go to every pipeline and see the status whether it has completed successfully or not. By just seeing the dashboard, I should know what is the status, or maybe share this to your manager or the spokes. And by seeing this dashboard itself, they'll come to know what is the status basically. So that is the reason. Okay. Right now, nothing is there, but we can design the pipeline. Sorry, dashboard. Okay. Here, we can design the pipeline here. Multiple gadgets, you can add whichever it is, bring up, down, whatever it is. But for pipeline, I'll just show you one. Maybe you can use whichever you want, from welcome message, anything. Search for, there is something called markdown. Okay. Add. So here, right now it is nothing. But where will you get this markdown text? Basically the display of the status of your pipeline. So, so if you go to the pipeline, right, whatever the pipeline we have added, edit this pipeline. Here, you have one more option called options. So here you will find a status patch. If you want to take it as an image, use this URL. Wherever, in case if you have a code somewhere, right, if you want to display something in the websites and all, you can use this. But in case if you want to use a markdown, use this, copy this markdown script. This is a script based. So again, we are not writing anything here. It is available. Go to dashboard. Okay. Is this what happened? Configure here. Okay. You can add this. Maybe you can add the some text. Status of.
So will it give the dashboard status of the CI/CD pipelines?
Yes, yes.
Uh, yeah. I mean, even before adding this widget, I mean, there might be few
No,
CI/CD
dashboard,
pipelines run,
it
right?
will not. You have to configure first. This is a one-time effort.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, it will not give the details before the widget addition, right?
No, no,
It
it
only
will not.
okay, okay.
So what we'll do, now it is successful, right? Let me do some intentional mistake, which will actually fail. What we can do, maybe we'll do one thing in the post. We'll make build as fail. Okay. We'll introduce some error in the code. Okay. Delete some mistake. Okay. Commit. Now commit is done directly. So if you go and see, your pipeline would have triggered already. See here, this color indicates that it is in progress. Well, just now it will fail. Okay. It will fail for sure. By the time you go and check the dashboard, see here right now success, right? The last pipeline was successfully completed. Now let us complete this. Build will fail now. This see here, build has failed. Okay. Now go and check your dashboard. There is a refresh here. See here, failed. Okay. Similarly, it has reflected here because your pipeline has failed. To debug, this is more important for a DevOps engineer. If in case of any failures in the pipeline, you should analyze what are the errors. Hello world app so and so. You can see here. Something is expected, just missing. Where in program.cs, error, the process, whatever it is, exit code, right? You should always see the logs. You always, if you remember, for a DevOps engineer, debugging is very, very, very important. It will be in case if some error occurs, you should analyze the logs. What happened? Why this error occurred? All the information, right? So you can click on that. It will give you complete information where exactly, right? You can view the log as a raw log also here. This is the raw log. Okay. So this is how we can configure your dashboards to reflect the status of the pipelines, right? Let me revert back so that it should not impact our, where did we, right? Done. Now another pipeline would have executed, forget about it, right? We have one more option, like if you click here, example, publish, okay? In advanced option, control options, yeah. Here, you have an option, run this particular task on which condition? Only when all previous tasks have succeeded, then only you run it, right? It has a dependency on previous. Without without a proper build, so there is no point in publishing, right? So that is the reason I've selected only when previous tasks are completed. But here, if you see here, even if the previous task has failed, unless the build was cancelled, unless if you cancel the build, continue my artifacts, publishing artifacts. So this is another option. There are few options. Only when all previous tasks have completed, even if the previous task has failed, even if previous task has failed, even if the build was cancelled, both the conditions. Only when the previous task has failed, there are some failure conditions. Maybe you need to trigger, you need to notify. Let's say my previous task has failed. I want to notify for all the users. Add one more task and publish that. Custom conditions also you can add it. Okay. So they're all mostly self-explanatory. I don't want to write. Yeah. You have a few more options like current project. What is the build timeout time and build job cancel timeout, all the information and description. If you remember, the build number format we are getting, right? Date followed by so and so revision source. So here, in case if you want to custom ones, you can add this. Okay. And
Yeah,
again, you
it's
have an option.
run version. I mean the build.
Right.
Sorry.
Runs
Yeah,
you are getting, right? Run one,
yeah,
run two, run three. These are the format which you are getting. In case if you want to customize this, you can come and customize it, whichever format you want. You want to add your project name or your name or something, whichever you want, right? And these are the few options to enable, disable, or pause the first time. Sometimes what happens if there is a parent-child relation, you may have to disable something for some time. So in that case, you can come here and disable and enable whenever you want, right? So these are the few other properties. Again, only link to work added. So the stage we have already added, right? And demands I'll talk later. No, at the right time. Okay, this information in case if you want to include the status and all, these are the options which you have, right? For some reason, if your build is continuing more than for 1 hour, it will abort automatically. So you can set that. So assume your pipeline, your build probably your build takes max 60 minutes, irrespective of whatever condition. If it is going beyond that, there is something wrong. I don't want to run further. So exit it. So this way. Clear?
a small query. So
Mm.
the build is like we'll go to I mean for 60 minutes it will stop automatically. We need to go through the logs and see what are we missing or what is the mistake.
Yes.
And then
Continue.
sorry. So now let's say we have, I mean, in the triggers, we have given like some specific branch
Mm.
to, I mean, once if some commit has happened on a specific branch, we'll give a trigger saying it has
Mm.
to run the pipeline CI.
Correct. Mm.
Okay. So similarly, if there are multiple branches
Mm.
and once someone by mistake added the master, okay, maybe at the beginning or the last, wherever it is, we
Mm.
have included the branch filter master directly.
Okay.
And yeah, if something, I mean, why I asked is, as we know, there is a dev, QA, and prod, right?
Right.
Dev QA prod. So
Mm.
in these cases, generally we'll do the test. We'll do the I mean the CA testing. For example, let's consider in the dev we are doing multiple branches or whatever the running thing is going on, and somebody added master by mistake and it has ran and something went wrong. So
Mm.
how do we variate the branch and master collision here?
Okay. First thing in real times. So that by mistake, 99% will not occur because the master is fully controlled and which will be completely owned by the CM teams. And when the changes will come into the master, demo purpose, I'm just modifying directly here because I'm the admin, I'm able to do anything here,
Yes, yes.
right?
Once all the branches are good, and then when they are pushed or
Ha.
added into
Pull
the
request
main
is
master, then yeah.
mandatory. Pull request is mandatory to come any change into the master branch. So pull requests are approved by multiple reviewers, right? That is the first thing. In case for some reason even the approvers by mistake they approved instead of rejecting, then obviously your pipeline will run. There is a high possibility of failures for the pipeline, right? Then it will be notified, right? Then obviously the respective teams, developer, whoever is there, so they should look into it and fix that change and commit it again. Otherwise, what happens? Max one more run will create. That's all, right? You're not going to lose anything. Okay, that is one thing. The second thing, I think what you have a doubt, because master is linked to productions and all. So what happens? That is your doubt, another doubt, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
for that, what happens? There is a something called backup mechanism. Okay. If 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 for some reasons by mistake something happens, then immediately there is something called rollback option. I'll show you that option when we create a multi-stage pipeline, how to roll back. Okay. So there is something called rollback option. So deployments, there are different types of deployments. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. But just to answer your question, there is something called rollback option. You can roll back immediately to the previous working version.
Okay.
Now we know how to enable all the triggers and continuous integration, right? Now we'll see one more option called groups, basically, right? In real time, what happens? Right? There are multiple tasks. If we see restore, build, publish, there is a series of tasks, right? Right? But in most of them, what happens? These tasks will grow like in some extent, right? And what happens if you have a multiple pipelines, the tasks are going to repeat. Your checkout is going to be common, your restore is going to be common, your build is going to be common, right? Rather than every time adding those tasks into every new pipeline we create, we can group these tasks into a single group, basically, right? So that the same task group we can reuse, basically inherit into multiple pipelines. So the advantage is one-time configuration. Assume there is a change. You have 20 pipelines and in 20 into 3 tasks, how many times? 60 places you need to modify. But whereas if we create a group, you can modify in one place that will automatically reflect in all the 60 places. Okay, that's what we are going to try now. Under the pipelines, right, this is the pipeline we have. Edit this. So we have what we have multiple options like I want to group couple of tasks here. Or what we'll do, I'll group restore and build. I'll group it just for demo purpose. Okay. Here you can see here it is selecting. If you remember, if you have a link properties, because this is linked to your main right pipeline, right? When you have a link property, first you should unlink that. Okay, you have to unlink this. Click on this. There is an option to unlink here also. Unlink it. Now both are unlinked. Basically, what you need to ensure that all tasks which are grouping that should not link to any, basically should not have any link properties. Okay. Whatever we are going to give here, right? These are the variables, right? So in restore and there is no variable, that is okay. But in build, you have one variable. But do one thing. Variables, we'll add one variable. I will add a name called project name. My default value, what is that? Star star slash star dot cs project. And I'm going to use this parameter name in my tasks. Okay. So in my task, okay, here, how to represent the variables within the bracket.
Project, project, project name.
Here, both. Instead of direct value, I'm just giving the variable name,
Giving the variable.
right? Now, if I select these two, right click on them, there is something called create task group. Okay, click on that. What is this? Restore and build, correct? This is the custom group name. Build, right? Here, category is there. We'll talk about that. If you see here, there are two parameters: project configuration, sorry, build configuration, project name, which we have just added. How come these two parameters got added? Whatever are the variable list are part of this particular individual task will automatically get added here. So when I'm going to add this particular task group, these parameters will be given as input. Okay, can give something.
Oh, okay, so what if we have different variables for restore and build? If we have multiple
It's a different
variables,
variable, right? The
yeah,
build configuration is
build
not there
config.
for restore. It is
Yes.
only available for build. Irrespective of
Okay,
whether you
so
have for one task or multiple tasks, all the variables will come on this
task group. Okay. Okay.
because it is linked to one of the other task, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
is part of this task. That's why.
Yes. Yes.
So you can select the category whichever you want. But for our case, this is actually this will fall under build category. So I'll create this. I'll create under this thing. You see here, task groups has been created. You see here, those two are gone. The reference of this task group is placed here instead of those two tasks, right? If you see here, there is one section, task groups here in this,
Yeah, including multiple kinds of tasks into
right?
one group, and checking all the, I mean, which have all the known parameters inside the specific task group. We can go on with the flow in the work.
Right. And make sure to save whenever you do some change here. Now you go to task groups here, restore and build. You have, and you want to see what are the tasks you have inside this, click on that, will display. And if you want to add more, you can add. Another good thing here is, here you have an option to export. It will create a JSON basically. Okay, just export. It will be a huge one, but don't worry about that. See, so this is the JSON. It's a big one. You will see here, huge. Okay, it has generated. Now, what is the use of this?
Use this JSON file if somewhere else we need the similar task group with the similar
Exactly.
parameters.
So these things you can import it basically, right? Wherever you want, you can import. Go to task groups here. Drag and drop, it will be imported here. So the rework will be reduced, right? You can export wherever it has configured and save it somewhere and import it. That is one advantage. Assume something happened for your pipeline. Always save this JSON file in version control system. So it is saved, it is secured. So anytime you can restore it back for some situations, right? If crash happened or something happened. So like this. Okay. Now go to your pipelines. Okay. Let me run now so that you'll see. I'll run it, run a pipeline. When it is running, it will actually get expanded here. It will expand.
Yeah.
Just wait for a second. Just
Okay.
for reusability and easy maintenance, we'll create groups. Just is a placeholder for, see here. Your info is there, your file creator, restore libraries are there, build is there,
It doesn't impact anything during the
anything,
restore and build, right?
right? No, anything, whatever you grouped it, so automatically it will get expanded at the time of run.
Okay.
There is no
Okay, Ji.
change. Only thing advantage is here the maintenance. In
Grouping.
case if you
Yeah,
have the
grouping.
multiple things and so many jobs in real time, there is a high possibility. There is a common parameter. Let's say your repository is common, right? If you take your repository, there will be assume you are working for a 50 projects. You have 50 pipelines, right? If you want to go and update your exam, I'm just giving an example. So assume there is a change in your repository, maybe some from your uh, lab 1 to lab 2 for some reason, right? So instead of modifying in all the 50 places, you just go and modify and automatically it will reflect because it is parameterized. So that is the advantage. Okay. Where is this? Okay. One more advantage is assume I'll delete this task group. If you don't have this example, just remove the selected groups. I removed it now. So how do I get it back? How can I get it back now?
Do we get to see the same thing under task groups, whether it has been deleted or not?
We deleted just now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now
Yes. So
here, add again. This plus symbol is there, right?
yeah,
What is
again
the
the
name we
build
gave?
and
Restore
restore,
and
build.
sometimes this will not work. Here, just add it.
Okay.
That's all.
Again to ungroup.
It is saved.
Again to ungroup. Yeah, yeah. Again to ungroup. G. How to ungroup?
Same. Disable this. This okay. You can clone or create a task. You can do manage tasks. All those things.
Yeah, small doubt here. Okay. So, I mean, while combining both the restore and build, we have given the parameter name as project name. Okay.
Right.
I mean, the parameters where instead of giving the project name directly, we have given the variable project name.
Correct.
Here, when we select the task group, I mean, with the name release, build and release,
Hmm.
uh, there, yeah, can you click on it? G? So again, it's showing the project name again as this one, like star star asterisk asterisk slash star dot cs proj.
That is the value. In case if you want to modify, go to task groups. Leave this. Click on the name whichever you want. Here you have.
Okay, we
You
need
have
to make
modified in
changes.
the actual tasks,
Yes,
right? Not
yes,
on the group.
yeah,
So
not on
that
the
in
group.
the
Yes,
group, what you will get the value of this parameter.
yeah, got it, G. Got it, got it. Okay, got it.
So we can create a task groups, export it and reuse it. And in, for some reason, if you want to do it, it will be available in the task list also and reuse it wherever you want. Basically, so multi-use. Okay. This is all about task groups.
Oh, Vijay is asking some project. Can you again explain the purpose of task group, please?
Okay. Assume you have a common tasks, right? That is quite common. Basically, if you take any project, right, your checking out is a common, your build is a common, or the distribution is a common, or creating artifacts is a common, or what is it? Multiple things. There will be high possibility of having a common tasks, right? Like restoring all those things. Assume you have 50 projects you are handling. Now, if you add all these tasks as an individual task for 50 pipelines. So how many times? Example, you take only these two. 50 into 200 places, 100 tasks you will basically maintain. Now, if assume there is a change for any one of these tasks. So how many places you have to go and modify? Take the same example. Your parameter name is different or you want to add one more parameter. Okay. Now what happens? You have to go to 100 places, 100 tasks and modify. Instead of that, now what happens? Everything, if I go to my, now this is whatever the task I have created under my task group here. You can add more tasks here. Add task. It is not required that first you have to add in the pipeline and create it. First you come to task groups, create a task group name and add list of tasks what you want. Then once you have your task group, then you can reuse this. Now you go to your pipelines. That's what I have just done, right? Assume I don't have task group here. This task group itself is not there. So I can go just add this task group from my list. Now what happens? Tomorrow, if you want to modify something, just come to task groups and modify only here instead of going to every pipeline and modifying in all the 50 pipelines. Now what happens in the pipeline, whatever you have here, that is just a reference. This one, this is just a reference to this task group what we have here. So instead of modifying in all 100 places, 50 into 2, I'm just going to modify only one place. It is one advantage. Another advantage is reusability. Assume I have 50 pipelines, right? So, or maybe team 1, team 2. Team 1 has already done this. Now I just want to export or import the configuration, whatever has been done here. Because take the same example, Microsoft Office. You have multiple components. There is a commonality between all the components, like let it be a, Excel or Outlook or Word, right? Your file save or file delete, all those things. That is quite common, right? So those kind of cases, maybe the pipeline which is relevant to that, you just want to reuse that. How to reuse the task basically, right? So in that case, there is an option to export and import here. Import or export. Export it to JSON and wherever you want, import it in any other places also because it is where it is. It is under organization. So it is linked. So you can do that. Or maybe check in this once you export this JSON file into repository. So anyone can download it from there and create it. Right? Clear? Okay. Any doubt? Any other doubt? So this is what all about your CI using the classic pipelines, right? Next, what we will do, we're going to first start the pipelines, right? I may not complete. Next, we are going to start AML pipelines basically for the same thing. Just to understand and clearly, I will try to repeat this same thing, like same pipeline example, whatever pipeline we have created here, right? So the pipeline. So this pipeline, whatever we have created here, I will try to repeat the same thing so that you can understand better how to generate the AML script using this pipeline. Okay. So, and how to reuse this AML script in AML pipelines. So, we will create AML pipeline in next session. Okay.
Okay. And do we need okay. So Vijay was asking some other thing. Will the other options in pipeline be covered in other sessions?
Other options, most of them, that is what, yeah, there are many options. So slowly we will create a couple of pipelines. So as and when the situation comes, I will explain other options, whatever we have. So here, if you see pipeline, what we have here, we have tasks which we have already discussed, variables which we have discussed, triggers we have discussed, right? And these are the few other options like enable, disable, or formats, or timeouts, all those things.
Yes,
And
yes.
demands, yes,
Against the
demands
build
I
and
will.
yeah, these options are against build and also the run ones also, right? I
Right.
mean, naming nomenclature of the run version, whatever created, And also the max time given for the build and build job cancel timeout.
Correct. And there is something called demands. I will talk about that in release pipelines when we're talking about, so that it will be aligned with the context. That's why I'm not talking now. So it is more relevant to your this thing. And save and queue always in case if you want to discard. And history again, who has done what for that particular pipeline. Ultimately, history is required, right? For some reason, if something goes wrong and which user was done, whether who has added and when was it done, all the information. And queue already we discussed. If there are one pipeline is already running, then if you want to queue it, it will be there. Yeah, that's all. This is just a single stage pipeline. We'll talk about multi-stage pipeline where we'll cover more options. Right? In multi-stage only, I will cover the end-to-end deployment process also live. Okay, how the changes will reflect in the websites. Example, I'll take an example of website. So similarly, same thing is applicable for all other projects as well.
Okay. Gee, before ending the session or something like that. Uh, so currently we have run with the
Classic
normally pushing
pipelines,
the classic pipeline, or like
right?
only pushing one at a time, or combining a set of a group of
Correct.
tasks and pushing. So what is the difference between this multi and the classic one, G?
Multi and classic, both are two different. See, multi is different, so you cannot compare both. Like classic and
Okay,
AML,
okay, okay,
these are the types of pipelines. What is the
okay.
difference? Did we write any code in the classic pipeline? Everything templates were there. We are just dragged and dropped, right? So
Yeah,
everything was pre-populated, all the values. We are not written any single script. But whereas in AML pipeline, we'll write some code, AML basically, right?
yeah. Okay.
And I'll tell you how to generate the AML even if you don't know the AML scripting. It is easy, don't worry. I'll teach you the techniques.